Hello, everybody. Happy Easter. Happy 420. Both on the same day.
Is that true?
Yes, 420 is Easter this year.
There's something, I don't like that.
So,
Columbine anniversary, Hitler's birthday.
so grab your bong and your Cadbury cream eggs. I am Brandon Jones. I have my basket of trailers that I've hunted for this week. I'm joined by Mr. Ryan Stevens,
Some Easter eggs.
Mr. Kyle Bosman.
Hi, everybody.
Let's all go to the trailers. It's Sunday. We had another week of trailers. There's 3 trailers specifically that we're going to talk about. We're going to score, and then we're going to talk about some other trailers that you should check out as well. Not a huge week for trailers. It was a little bit light. One of the trailers we're going to speak about was going to be one of the secondary trailers because I was sure something was going to come along and replace it, but it ended up being one of my favorite trailers of the week. But we're going to start off with something different, something that everybody, I think, is talking about, which is Civilization. Definitely the biggest announcement to come out of PAX. Not a forum for massive announcements this year, but this is kind of fun, and people are talking a lot about the game, so maybe we should stick to the trailer or just talk about the aesthetics of what they're going for here. Mr. Stevens, what do you think of Civ Beyond Earth?
I have not seen it yet, but I heard someone has actually taken this trailer and all of the Civ cutscenes and all of the Civ trailers and cut them into a mega trailer where all like the geographic and time-based stuff kind of merges into like a timeline, sort of.
Wow, we should watch that one instead of this.
Yeah, except, not an official piece of media. This is a cool trailer. I mean, it's funny because, in the end, this game's all going to be about hexes. Hey, that's kind of it. Yeah, that's a hex right there, right?
Sure.
So it's representative of the game. Civilization's interesting because the game itself always kind of evokes a feeling that when you play it is a little bit different than what it would look like if you were watching someone play it, and I think the trailers kind of do a good job of getting that kind of scope. I guess the bigger question is how much is this going to be like Alpha Centauri, and will I be able to nerve staple people? But it seems very transitory. It seems very transitional, obviously.
And we're obviously a reference to one of the win states in Civilization for people that didn't
Science
play those
victory,
games.
yeah.
Because I haven't spent a ton of time in Civilization. I did play the first one, and I have played it on my iPad. But I don't know if I've ever gotten the game like all the way to completion. Because it's always a bit fuzzy for me, like what you really need to do to get to what you want. So obviously, it's cool to see, one of the win states is going into space, and that's where this game starts. Not only where the game starts, but where the trailer starts. Mm-hmm. So you go around the world seeing all these famous locations in their kind of pseudo post-apocalyptic state. Some are submerged in water, some are cities that are obviously much bigger than they are today. Is that a reference, you think, on the franchise as a whole?
I just think because there's only so many victories. There's like cultural victory, diplomacy victory, or I think those are the same, war victory. And most people win by war. So I think it is cool that they're kind of branching out from this, from thinking that like you've won Civ, now do this. I'm curious if it's going to use your save data or anything.
So what do you think is cooler, Kyle? Space exploration or war?
Yeah, exactly.
Or war in space?
Kind of on that, this trailer, as a trailer, makes space exploration exciting. It feels smart, this trailer. It seems like they spent a lot of time in this stuff, which I don't think will be part of the game. I don't think you'll be spending a lot of time on Earth, but it's setting up a really cool rationale for why you're going to space. And actually, now that you brought it up, there are lots of little hexagons here, lots of little hints at the hexagons, which I actually really
There's a
appreciate.
great transition in the end when it actually transitions to the title. They do have a big bunch of hexagon wipe, if you will.
It's funny because I know you're gonna have like a nation sponsor or something, but I think it's all gonna be pretty much outer space stuff, and they said there's gonna be some sort of alien stuff. But I'm curious who, the talking heads, it was always like Abraham Lincoln and Julius Caesar. Wouldn't it be cool if it was like Neil deGrasse Tyson? Like it shows up.
Like the guy from Mars Attacks.
Yeah. little counterpoint.
Does this feel desperate? It's not called Civilization 6. It's Civilization Beyond Earth. Is this a new road that Civilization is going to take, or is this the new Civ? Are we not going to get a Civ like the old Civs?
We've seen, like I said, we've seen Alpha Centauri. We saw Civilization Call to Power. I mean, they've had kind of spin-offs before, and they've, the game's really successful. Their expansions have been really successful. So I think doing kind of a side story is perfectly fine. It's just, there's not too many games quite like Civ of this scope. There's actually a ton of games. Go check out Paradox, but it doesn't really win the hearts and minds. There's like 5 million copies of Civ 5 purchased and played on Steam. That's a huge number. you know?
It's kind of one of those silent killers, you know, one of those like dark horses. What's the word I'm looking for? You know, it's like not a franchise people talk about a lot, but is always successful, always amazing. I recently did the top 5 games for one of our personal countdowns, and I just did some research on Civ. I read a lot of reviews, and it's just always consistently amazing. And it's great that it's not one of those franchises other than the ports, obviously on mobile and stuff, but it's not really flooded. You're not like, oh, I'm sick of Civ.
Well, I mean, do you remember Civilization Revolution? It was the console version. People really bemoaned it for, you know, not being as complex, but I remember it was a top 10 MPD game the month it came out, which I was really surprised that a game like this could penetrate with, you know, people that wanted to hold a controller.
No, I think that's a fair point you made, Brandon, because this isn't the game that gets people shouting at E3, but it is a game that a lot of us like in an interesting way.
And it is a game that always has CG trailers. It is known for this, to have, they usually one up as their game intros, but this isn't, you know, unusual. I think it's just mostly the theme that's kind of catching people off guard as far as an announcement. But love when announcements are made with trailers. I think you totally get the concept of what they want to do with the game from this. There's still a lot of mystery to it, like you were saying, with possible aliens and what does this mean gameplay-wise? And obviously, it's like taking the Civ model and putting it into open space. How is that going to work? Are there going to be multiple planes of stuff? So I think it does just enough. I would give it a solid 9. I think it's just a nice, great trailer. Well done.
I want to give it a really high score too. Just as an announcement trailer, it does a lot to excite me for the concept. They set up. There's a really interesting line up at the top that the progress or the result of the progress, the cost of progress, is they ruined the Earth. You know what I mean? And it makes me excited, like, to make a new civilization outside in outer space. I'm pumped. Cool to get you excited for what the game is about. Yeah, dude, I'll do 8.8.
I was gonna do 8.7. I like the hexes. I think that's cute. I don't think our frames really missed. I still think it's just missing a little something to put it in that extra little edge of being totally awesome. But pretty cool trailer, worth watching. It's one of those trailers that's worth watching even if you're not even into Civilization.
The next trailer I want to show you guys, I didn't think we were going to be talking about specifically, but I probably would have just skipped and gone by, but this trailer really stayed with me. It's like kind of Mad Men meets Hitman meets a totally new time period, I think, and there's a lot of really subtle cues and the way that the trailer sells the concept, and it's a weird concept, you know. It's something that a lot of people are probably pissed about or just think is really weird or dismiss.
It's got a lot of downvotes on GT.
Such a deliberate trailer, though. I think is really interesting, but I'd rather turn it over to you guys. Kyle, you've been kind of quiet this episode. What do you think?
I think that was a really good point, Brandon, because like this is a game there's no way I'll want to play, but it's a terrific trailer. The music in this is unique in itself. I really like their use of music in it. What is it called? It's like shift focus, right?
Tilt focus.
Tilt focus, thanks. Where like
shift tilt, something like that, yeah.
No, I think tilt focus is right. Where it just like it looks like they're real little miniatures. Really interesting way, because look, this is a portable version of Hitman. It's not going to be as good as Hitman, but like this is a great way to demonstrate what this game is. You know, this is how heavy the game's going to be, and this is what we're going after.
Is this really what the game looks like, or is this being repurposed somehow for the trailer? It's only like a minute long, you know. It's just watched it, and then I watched it one more time, then I watched it one more time after that, and it's fun. We're looking at the end logo now. It's interesting that like it's really obscured, like it keeps pushing the footage like off of the frame.
Yeah.
You're always kind of looking away from what's really happening. Like when the first time you see Agent 47 when he's got his guns akimbo and he's killing 2 guys, it's the very top of the frame and out of focus. You don't recognize it right away. Your eye goes to the lady with the little cart underneath it. And just, I don't know, a lot of mystery to this trailer. I thought it was weird. I don't know if I'd maybe give it like a 7.8. I mean, it's not like a super amazing trailer, but, and it is a slow week, granted, so it's not something that I'd be talking about extensively, you know, if a Mass Effect 4 trailer came out this week. I just think it's very interesting, bold. I'm, you know, stoked that they've done it. I probably won't even end up playing this game, so I'm not like that keen on it, but what do you think, Ryan?
I mean, I kind of agree with Kyle where there's no part of me that wants to play this game. But I think the trailer's great, but isn't a trailer supposed to make you want to play the game? I like novelty. I thought this thing was really, really interesting, even though I kept thinking of like those JFK like shoebox dioramas and stuff like that. Like that's immediately where my mind went. So I hope Hitman doesn't kill JFK. I don't know, like even the like you were saying like the focus and stuff. I like how it's almost even also shot like on a monopod with that like light sway and stuff. There's a lot of deliberate stuff going on, and obviously you're seeing some interface, like the little pulsing arrows and the paths, and this, it looks like Nine Men's Morris or something like that. So you get an idea, but it kind of also works in the idea of like the diorama. Like if this could be like an actual board game, you could play with like physical objects, and that kind of quasi photorealism for something that's already manifestation of something that's not real, like actually that figure representing a person. It's kind of an interesting take on stuff from a lot of points. But then you start thinking of it as a game, and you're like, I don't know if I want to play this.
I need a score, Kyle. Give me a score.
Okay. I just realized something actually. I just noticed that on one of the wide shots it says like level 1-3, I think, on like a little placard. So this might be more representative of the actual game than I actually thought it was. I thought this was kind of like a stylistic representation of what the game will be. It might actually look like this.
I think it does. Yeah, I think you're looking at the game.
And then
I wonder if you can zoom in out and do these little. I wonder if the camera always kind of does that. This little lazy back and forth.
And then I wonder, like, honestly, like, it's that thing again where I'm playing a game where I'm playing with toys as opposed to level, like, was that 3-3 in that maybe? Yeah. Where, like, I want to play a game as a thing, not as I'm playing a game as a guy playing with toys. But anyway, very good trailer for what I think is probably not going to be a great game. I'll give it a 7.
I'm going to give it an 8. Again, I'm not going to play it, but I actually really enjoyed watching it. And really, really quick, Kyle, in the very beginning of Smash Brothers N64, aren't all the characters brought out of a giant toy box?
You don't know how much that bugs me, and so that makes me so happy that wasn't there in Melee.
Okay.
So
it bothers me a lot to think that these are just toys that are playing with each other.
So when you're not playing Smash Brothers, they're just sitting there in your console waiting to be played, Kyle. When you get Smash Brothers for Wii U, the Smash Brothers on Wii will cry. They'll all be lonely and sad.
This is like Toy Story, sure.
Just put them up in the attic. But yeah, interesting. I mean, to answer your question, not to talk too long about this trailer, Ryan, but you commented that you like the trailer, but you're not going to play the game. So was it effective? We are talking about it. It did stand out from all the trailers that I saw this week.
Absolutely.
It was smart to release it this week because there weren't that many great trailers coming out. So hopefully through word of mouth, other people that are excited about this thing, maybe not even excited about Hitman, but they like puzzle elements and simple games like that. And one last thing, I also like how it's not like them trying to do a crappy, analog stick aping of the iPad, to like make a 3D Hitman work. And
right.
Like, it's the console experience on the iPad. They're like, let's not even waste time with that.
Like mobile GTA. Yeah.
Let's make something else and take the Ubisoft is Ubisoft or Eidos or
Square Enix.
Square now, yeah.
Enix.
But there's lots of creative people involved in the Hitman series, and after the mediocre last game, I think he deserves a little boost. So who knows?
Yeah, I'm curious if IO is actually developing this. I was trying to score the credits, scour.
We're going to watch one last thing and talk about it extensively, which is Severed. I don't know how much gameplay we see as opposed to other stuff.
It's called the concept trailer.
Yeah, which is an interesting title.
Makes me think these are all kind of animatics.
It's kind of a smart way to get people interested in your game, to be like, here's just a bunch of really kooky stuff. What do you think? What do you think, Kyle Bosman?
So I was way into this trailer at this point, and this is it. This is the moment where I'm like, this is the moment where you see swiping to look around the environment. And then I'm like, this is a swiping game. And so that bums me out. I should be more open-minded about different types of games, sure, but there's never a moment where I would rather swipe than walk around in the environment. And here we are swiping for combat. Good idea for a game if you're making it for iPad, because you don't have 2 analog sticks. But, it's hard for me to get excited when the alternate, when Guacamelee is more fun to play.
Mm. Have you ever played Infinity Blade, either of you guys?
Yeah.
I love that game. I played 2 for a little bit, and I never touched 3 just because I moved on to other games. But
did you play Infinity Blade right when it came out?
Yeah.
It was very novel. I mean, having something that looked like that, and it's not messing the. I mean, it was like a hyped up, kind of like a hyped up Punch Out, right? I don't know. Guacamelee was so good. I mean, didn't it win our best Metroid, or one of our best Metroidvania
It was up there.
Top 10s.
It was up there. On
yeah,
the
I'm sorry. It was on the list for sure.
I think it was a top 5, and I think it was nominated.
I think this trailer is really, really cool. I like the style, like it's really kind of Saul Bass stuff. There's a couple shots. There's a shot early on where you see like the 3 heroes standing, and I don't like how the aesthetics look right there. But almost everything else, even with like kind of the low tier animation, that shot right there. Not the biggest fan of that shot. But no, everything else. The touch thing, you kind of want to not believe it because they're not really saying anything. You're like, oh, maybe it's something else. The game looks really, really interesting, though.
Is 2014 the year of the confident female heroine with cool weapons? Like, Child of Light has a female heroine, Transistor has a female heroine. This game, I thought about it because this game reminds me of Transistor in a weird way. It obviously has a color palette more suited to something like Guacamelee, but I will say what I like that this concept has is it has a very clear beginning and an end, a concept that runs through that in an arc for this character. So we start off with the hand being severed, her seeing herself in the mirror, maybe expressing doubt as far as like, you know, going on this adventure. Her sword has some sentience or something, or I don't know if it'll have a silly voice, but when she gets to the end, she does the same thing. Is she looking at herself? Is she looking at us? You know, like, is she, you know, aware of how much she's changed, or is all of this stuff, these tendrils and weird things we're seeing, are they taking her over like Doc Ock? You know, like what? I don't know. It's an interesting concept, like you were saying, but it is kind of a weird name for a trailer.
And the song is really good.
Is this a concept internally? Is this a concept for fans, for Kickstarter, for Twitter, to get social, you know, feedback?
I think they're at the early stages. I'm just guessing. I haven't really read anything up on this, but if this is called a concept trailer, I think that they're probably in the planning phase, and, you know, there's all the money right there.
If that's the case, Kyle Bosman, do you think that's a smart idea for a game like this to just throw its style out there and say, hey, world, what do you think? You know, and try to get feedback as opposed to just like fully investing in a project? Because like you said, if it's just like, people are like, oh, you know, I like the style, but I just hate iPad games. Then they're like, cool, dodged a bullet. Don't have to make that game.
That's a really good question, Brandon. Generally, I think that if you this game clearly has a strong creative voice, and to me, I know internet comments, and it scares me to think that they might listen to internet comments about this. You know what I mean? Just like, oh, make the girl sexier. You know, you know, give me like a right analog stick. Even my dumb comments are dumb comments. If you have a vision, you know, stick to your vision. I would hope for a game like this, which clearly has one.
Can we just talk about for a second how this guy's throwing up gang signs with the Triforce?
Sure.
And it's like, yo, Triforce in the house.
With his flowing mustache.
I give it a 7.4. I would say 7 is kind of your average score for like, yeah, good job, but like the 4 being, this is bonkers. This is a big psychedelic arm, you know, that you're chasing through weird, you know, 2/3D environments. It is eye-catching. There was no question I was going to talk about this week because it just is a fun little psychedelic trip. It's not a super long concept, so you don't have to sit with it for very long. So.
Yeah, I don't want to let my own bias against games you have to touch, you know, invade how I feel about this trailer. It is unique. There's so much unique about it, and I think that's a good thing. You know, it's selling its own. This is a different game than other games you play. 7.8.
9.
Nice.
I think this is baller.
Infinity Wars announced, which I think we knew before the trailer came out, that they were going to get the license to do Star Trek The Next Generation, proving that there's no wacky bounds to that game. Infinity Wars, for those of you who don't know, is a card game that just wants to do everything and anything. It's kind of like Minecraft. It's just going to gobble up other genres. Risen 3 got an absolutely terrible teaser that when I was looking for the last trailer, I was like, oh, Risen 3, like a debut. Oh, great. I love debuts of brand new games. It's like severed, like, oh boy, this is going to be fantastic. And like, wow, that's really bad, really abrupt, really standard. It's like you watch the Elder Scrolls, like huge, massive war of all the races and the undead falling through clouds with giant chains. And then
those guys don't like have a budget.
It's like guy werewolf. Well, then don't do something like that.
Yeah, even if you don't have a budget, you can think of something more than a guy fighting a wolf.
I'm just going to say, I will defend Risen. At least Risen 1 is like one of the best bad games I've ever played. It has a lot of heart.
Better than Two Worlds?
Two Worlds 2.
And RuneScape had a update video. It was their 100th behind-the-scenes video. RuneScape has a very EverQuest kind of vibe, very old-school looking game. But the trailer was called Cabbage Face Punch Bonanza. And you asked me, Kyle, when we talked about Castlevania Lords of Shadow 2 Revelations. You know, like, does the subtitle of a stupid game, or a game with a stupid subtitle, does that turn you off from watching the trailer, being interested in the game. And this is an example of the trailer title making me watch it. Granted, I was hunting for footage to put in my trailer basket this week, but I was like, Cabbage Face Punch Bonanza, gotta watch that.
Sure.
And the guys who make that game got a lot of heart. It's kind of fun to see people extremely passionate about a game that looks like it came out 20 years ago.
And putting out weekly videos. I was unaware of this community, and I was actually a little into just like, peering into it for a moment.
I might find myself watching episode 101 whenever they come out with that, although I'll probably never play RuneScape. So trailer of the week, Civilization?
Absolutely.
I'll give it to you guys. Sure.
Yeah? Well, that was easy.
I like Severed, but...
over Civ? Just what that little concept that they did was greater than the huge, I heard it, Kyle. You don't have to repeat his score. I just want to get specifics here. I think we don't have any even votes here on Let's All Go to the Trailers. There's 3 of us, so if one person likes another trailer and 2 people like the other one, it's like last week. You got ousted.
Checks and balances.
And those were all the hot trailers of this week. Once again, I hope you guys have a wonderful vacation weekend. If you're watching this, listen to this on Sunday. Thank you for taking part of your holiday to sit with us and watch trailers. Thank you, Kyle.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Stevens.
Yo.
And we'll see you next week.